Okay, hi everyone. So this is the makeup look that we are doing today. It's like a duotone spring smoky eye. And we are also going to be talking about self-confidence and self-esteem, the difference between the two, and also why it's important that we recognize that there's a difference between the two. So if you are interested in learning about either of those things, then just keep watching. Okay, so I'm starting with my eyes today because I'm using a lot of color, and when you use a lot of color in your eyeshadow look, sometimes there's fallout onto your skin. So I'm just using a concealer right now as an eyeshadow base. So today we're talking about self-esteem and self-confidence, and there's a difference between the two, and I think it's really important. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm using a translucent setting powder over top of the concealer that I used as the eyeshadow base, just to set it all in place before we go in with the colored shadows. Okay, so what is the difference between self-confidence and self-esteem? The word confidence comes from the Latin word confidere, and the only reason why I know how to pronounce that is because I googled it. But basically, confidere, so that Latin word, just means to have full trust. Now I'm grabbing a fluffy brush and this turquoise blue shadow from the NYX Ultimate Eyeshadow Palette. Okay, so confidere means to have full trust. In general, when we are confident about something, it means that we are really sure that this thing is going to or isn't going to happen. So, for example, I'm very confident that the sun will come up tomorrow morning. Self-confidence is more of an attitude that we have towards our skills or abilities. So, someone with high self-confidence trusts in their ability to do certain things, whereas someone with low self-confidence feels inadequate or they don't feel competent at certain things. So for example, when it comes to delivering a speech, someone with high self-confidence about that particular topic would feel like they had the skills and resources and tools available to them to write and practice and then do the speech. So in summary, what we just talked about is self-confidence, and self-confidence is your trust in your ability to do something. Now we're going to talk about self-esteem, and I'm moving on to my face makeup. So this is the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless foundation, and I'm just using a beauty blender to put it on. So esteem means to respect or admire something or someone. So in psychology, when we use the term self-esteem, it describes a person's subjective sense of worth or value. So how much does a person respect or value themselves? And in really simple terms, it's just basically how much does a person like themselves. So this is a scale that measures self-esteem in people, and if someone had high self-esteem, they would agree with statements like, I am satisfied with myself and I feel like I have a lot of good qualities. And per usual, if you are interested in these types of papers and scales, I will link all of them in the description box below. Okay, so now that we know what self-esteem is and what self-confidence is, what's like really the biggest difference between them? And I think that the most significant difference between these two sort of like arbitrary things is that self-confidence is really based on external measures of success. And when I say that, I mean like other people tell you if you're doing well. So let's go back to the public speech. How someone gains self-confidence when it comes to like public speeches is because they received praise in the past. So someone else told them they did well. And so that self-confidence that they have about that particular skill came from external measurements of success. On the other hand, self-esteem is more based on internal measures of success. So in the case of the public speaking, someone with high self-esteem wouldn't necessarily look outside of themselves for validation. They would be able to do that for themselves. So they would say like, I just stood up in front of my peers and spoke, and I think that that's a good thing. So it's like this internal belief that they have about themselves. Let's talk about why all of this matters. The biggest reason, in my opinion, is that I don't think a lot of people realize this. I certainly didn't realize this for a long time, but you can have high self-confidence and not have high self-esteem. I'll use a personal example of a time in my life where I had really high self-confidence, but I don't really think that I had high self-esteem. And those of you who know me personally will already know this, but I partied a lot in first year university, like grade 12 first year. This girl partied. My life revolved around going out to clubs and cocktail bars with my friends. And let me tell you, I was very confident in my bar crawling abilities. Like, I took dance lessons my whole life, so I was cool to carry myself and, get out there and be outgoing. I've always been like very confident in my makeup abilities. And like, I'd say I'm a pretty outgoing, extroverted person. So I was always good at conversing with random strangers at the bar, right? So, as far as bar crawling skills go, like, I was pretty confident in mine. And since a lot of my life revolved around that lifestyle, I would say I was pretty self-confident as a whole. But as I started to grow up a little bit, I realized that I didn't necessarily value those things that were making me feel self-confident. And really quickly here, guys, I'm using the same brush, but I'm just switching to blush. Anyways, as I was saying, I realized that I didn't value those things that were making me feel confident. I realized that I value deep connections with people. I value learning and curiosity. I value feeling comfortable and confident in my own skin, with or without makeup on. And so even though I was confident in my abilities to dress up and go out and strike up a conversation with a stranger, I wasn't holding myself to high esteem. So like, in short, I didn't admire myself. What I personally really like about myself are those things I was talking about before, like my curiosity for the world, and I think I'm very kind to people. I think I'm a good friend and stuff, and I don't think that those strengths of mine that I value were being used necessarily. And as I start my highlighter, this is BECCA Moonstone, which apparently BECCA, like the brand that makes these highlighters, is like no longer a thing, which I'm really upset about because these highlighters are the best, as you can see by the serious amount of use I've got out of this one. Anyways, I digress. As I'm doing my highlighter here, let me just include a very important side note, which is that I'm not telling you that it's good or bad to value the things that I value. So like, if you don't care about curiosity and like deep connections with people, that's so fine. If you are the type of person who values like zest and humor and spontaneity and just like a good time, that's so cool. Like, I'm not telling you not to go out. I love going out sometimes now. I still like it. It's just not as frequent for me. But if you're the type of person who, really values those things in your life, that's so fine. I'm not telling you that it's not fine. Just to clarify. Okay, so now for the rest of the eyeshadow, it's very simple. I'm taking the same palette. I'm going to take a smaller like pencil brush, this one right here, and I'm going into this lilac-y purple color, and I'm going to do my lower lash line. Instead of with the turquoise, I'm doing it with the purple. So I share this personal anecdote and the difference between confidence and esteem because I truly believe that it's so important in life to have a little bit of both. But I especially feel like it's important for people to prioritize finding what they admire about themselves I think that a lot of people spend a lot of their time focusing on things that make them feel confident. And with that, remember, as we were saying before, a lot of the validation that they get is from external sources. And although that is fine and dandy and important in life, I certainly could have been focusing more on self-esteem. Okay, let me finish my eyes really quick. All I'm doing is putting a small black line on my upper lash line so that I can get my fake eyelashes on. I'm gonna put some mascara on both sides and then I will come back, we will do the lips and wrap this video up. Okay, let me pick out a lip color really quick. I find using a lip liner really helps me overline my lips. I like to overline my top lip a little bit and it's really hard to do that if I don't use a lip liner. So that's why I like to have so many lip liners, and then I'll go on over top with like a gloss or sometimes even a lipstick if I like the color of the lipstick more. Okay, and now that I have that shape there with the lip liner, I'm just gonna take the lip liner and go ahead and fill the whole thing in. I'm going in with the Fenty Beauty Gloss Bomb in the color Fussy all over the lip as well. So just to finish off this video, like, what is the take-home message here? I would say the biggest thing is that I think a lot of people, myself included, that anecdote that I shared, very illustrative of this, a lot of people focus on self-confidence and they put a lot of time, a lot of energy into activities and skills that make them feel really confident. But all in all, I just think it's really important to also focus on self-esteem. There are lots of studies that show that self-esteem is associated with a lot of like positive outcomes, like health, having better social lives, mental well-being, like lower rates of mental disorders, stuff like that, right? And so all that to say is that although self-confidence is awesome, and I think self-confidence is super important, self-esteem is also an interesting topic, and I think that more of us, myself included, should pay attention to it as well. Okay, so that is the makeup look all complete, and I pulled my camera down off my tripod because I felt like you couldn't really see the purple up there, like it just wasn't picking it up very well. So with that being said, that is this makeup look and the video all complete. Please, if you made it this far and you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like down below, subscribe and comment if that's your thing, and take care of yourself today, and I will see you in the next video.